Hi, wrestling fans. We know it's been a while, but we're back. AIWF Ringside Wrestling is back on the airwaves of the internet, I guess. Was that how you say it? Or the cyber waves? Or hell, I don't know. But
Fiber
we're,
waves.
we're here. So if you see this and you like it, or even if you don't like it, we could use your help. Smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. And it really helps out the channel. We know we haven't been posting a lot lately. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but I have had some family things going on over the last few months. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'm not going to bore you or depress you with what's going on. But it's not been fun. That's why the show has been sporadic to say the least. We hadn't been with you since before WrestleMania. So we probably won't be with you next weekend, but we're going to try to get it picked up and get back to a weekly basis as quickly as possible. But Joe, we just ask that you bear with us over the next few months as I finish up some tasks I need to complete, and just bear with us, and we appreciate it. So hello, Brian and Reagan. We're all back together. Rick Diesel is not with us today. It's food truck season, and so they are out and about. I think they were at something called Farm Fest today, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, they were at Farm Fest. I don't know if it was today, but it was definitely yesterday. Um, so I know that they were doing that. So and they looked busy. I don't even know what Farm Fest is. So, but it seemed to be a lot of people. So, good for them. But yeah, I don't know. She Trista has a soda, like a drink thing now too, that she's putting out on the weekdays sometimes,
Mhm.
and then so they're always this is their time of the year, I think. So
Yeah. So, but a lot going on in the wrestling world, and then I guess we need to start running through it. Now, you had made a comment before we went on the air that you did not think the WWE's PLEs were very impressive lately. So let's go back to WrestleMania because other podcasts have talked about this, and I'll get your opinions first on WrestleMania overall. You don't have to break it down match by match, but just overall, what you thought of WrestleMania, and um, yeah, just so go.
that second day, the women's match with Rhea Ripley and gosh, I say your name for me.
Theo Sky.
Thank you, Io. I was thinking Ione, and that's not right. Like, and beyond that match was really, was it four? It's three way.
Yeah, it was three way.
Three way. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Thought it was one of the better matches of the WrestleMania. But like, it's also one of those things like there were some good aspects to it, but like it was just not. You know how WrestleManias you like have like these memorable moments, and you just are so excited to talk about them. Like I don't even remember that much. Like because the Cena that match was I didn't like the ending of it. I thought the ending was you might have been asleep by that time. And that was one of my most disappointing was that ending where Cody Rhodes was such a baby that he didn't even like and people have brought up that he didn't like, hit John Cena. And people are talking about like Dusty would have done that. Like
Yeah,
if Dusty had
he
been in a
sure would have.
match, he would have picked up that chair, whacked him, threw it out. One, two, three.
Yeah.
And this like super baby face thing, I don't think worked. I don't think it works in this storyline. I don't think it works in any of that stuff. And then like the whole everybody was disappointed because The Rock didn't show up, and like it was just like, and this is another thing that I've never heard anybody really talk about. One of the reasons I love WrestleMania is the entrances. Like some of the entrances, I mean, just historically have just been these huge like productions, and there wasn't really that many like awesome entrances.
Mhm.
Like, there were some cool ones with the motorcycles and stuff, but I don't know. Those are just kind of the things. Like I was just, it didn't feel like a WrestleMania. It felt like just an in between PLE. So, but
What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, it was just uh the overall vibe of it just seemed not as grand as usual.
Hmm.
It just, is the past couple, and maybe that's just a thing. Maybe you can't have spectacular, that many spectacular WrestleManias in a row. It just seems like the last couple were really good. Maybe we were just due for a dud. I don't know, but it just was pretty underwhelming to me.
Oh
Like that,
yeah.
yeah, that Drew McIntyre entrance where they were, and it was just like, what is this? And it's like, oh, it's a tie-in for Doom, but for the video game. But it
Oh,
was
is that
just
what
like,
it was? Okay.
yeah, and it was just like, oh, okay, I guess I get that, but it's like when it first happened, I'm like, what is this? What's going on? So
Hmm.
it just
Yeah.
seemed like there was a lot of things like that.
And I feel like I think everybody enjoyed the Jacob Fatu LA Knight match. I think that was one that stood out for people. Um, and people really talked about, the Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, that
Yeah,
was
that
really
was good.
good.
That was
But
good.
like, I did not watch night one because we were doing something. I don't
Mhm.
remember what it was. We were out of town. And but like, you catch clips here and there. And I did watch the Jade Cargill and Naomi match separately.
Hmm.
And it was better than usual, but I still was
I was
not.
surprised. I was surprised that they got through it as smooth as they did. I was because Jakey and I were sitting there watching. I was like, oh boy. I was like, I'm gonna run outside and smoke before this train wreck gets started, And they got through it, man. It wasn't that bad. I
Yeah.
didn't think.
There was just some like I'm just looking back through the cards so I can remember. You know, I think I like Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. I thought the match was that good, but I felt like the storytelling was good in it.
Okay.
Um, but it's just like I had to look back because there wasn't anything that just stuck in my mind. I know that everybody seemed very excited about uh, Dirty Dom winning the belt and
Yeah.
stuff, but it's just I don't know. I just feel like while I was watching it, I was not like last year when was it last year when John Cena? What was the year where John Cena came out and helped Cody, and then The Rock came out and helped Cody? Like it was like
That
all
was
the or
last
the
year.
Undertaker, huh?
That was
Was that
last year. Yeah.
that right there? I when John Cena came out for that, I like marked out. Like I was just not even like John Cena. Um, so there was like I remember that, but I don't really remember anything from this last one. Like I remember, but I'm just like Brian was saying, was underwhelming.
I agree. I think underwhelming is the best thing. Best analysis I heard of it was Dutch Mantel saying, sometimes you just got to give them what they expect. And yeah, and that's if you listen to Dutch, Dutch booked Memphis, he booked Puerto Rico, he might even book Dallas at one point. I don't know, but Dutch Mantel has a lot of experience as a booker, so it's fun listening to him break this stuff down. And yeah, I would say WrestleMania was kind of underwhelming, but I think part of it is all right, here's one thing. We're old enough that we've been alive since WrestleMania started, right? All of us since 1985. I'd love to hear somebody's opinion that was 20 years old, or somebody that was, or even a younger kid's opinion of what they thought of it, because they don't have
Yeah,
as much frame of reference, right? We've seen them all. I bet you I can say with clear conscience, WrestleMania 2000, number 16, with all those multi-man matches, was the worst WrestleMania they've ever put on. That's in my opinion. I never watched it again since the day it aired live. I just absolutely hated it. And but I didn't hate this, but I was just like, okay. And that McIntyre match, I didn't think that thing kicked into overdrive until I felt like the first 5 minutes was just kind of clunky, brawling. And
yeah,
but when they did the stairs spot, I think it was a power bomb on the steps. It was like that knocked the dust off of whatever was going on with them, and they kicked it into high gear. And the rest of the match, I thought was fine. You
And
know,
Drew McIntyre has such a good personality. Like I really liked when he grabbed the phone and took the selfie. Like I thought that was funny. Like you saw I but yeah, it just you're right. I would like to know what somebody who hasn't been alive, because I haven't watched every WrestleMania, but you have the if you just think you think of it being a well, it used to be grand spectacular and just
mhm.
lots of celebrities and a lot of huge interests, a lot of just going on and yeah, I would like to hear what somebody who hasn't been around for every single one of them would think.
I also think the live audience impacts it because it's not the same audience that they wrestle in front of week to week, families and stuff like that. You've got your smartest of the smart marks, a bunch of, 10 or 12,000 of those people in that building are independent wrestlers and, and their friends and cohorts. And the crowd is just, remember how we used to talk about how the crowd was always wild for the Raw after WrestleMania? Well, that crowd has taken over WrestleMania itself now. And that's why they were booing Cody Rhodes and just it was like bizarro land. Like, they booed Eugene in Canada one time back about 22 years ago. And everybody's like, why would you boo Eugene? Eric Bischoff's lovable. Um, I can't say that word anymore.
Simple
What
minded,
simple
simple
man? There
minded.
you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for bailing me out. I would have said it if we weren't in front of a microphone, but
I knew I saw it coming. I'm like, simple minded.
yeah, get in trouble on the internet because this stuff stays forever. So, but yeah, they booed Eugene in Canada, and at the time, everybody's like, "Wow, these Canadian fans, they're worse than Philly fans." They booed Eugene. But now it's like the whole WrestleMania audience is like one giant smart mark convention. And I don't mean to use that as a derogatory term toward those people, but sometimes your cynical boos and cheers in the opposite direction kind of fucks everything up. And that's just
I
my
just
opinion. I think that was a big part of it.
just think the whole John Cena turn is not working like they thought it would, but they still have to double down with it. I think people would have. I mean, he's one of the most popular wrestlers that has ever been. Not only inside the ring, but everybody loved him because of um, all of his charity work and all this stuff. So I just think making him a heel is not effective. But for me, but for some people,
Well, I think for me, I think the crowd, like I saw a positive reaction when John Cena won. And I think it was because just like me, I mean, I'm not the biggest John Cena fan, but I was happy to see him break the record. I think he deserves that. If anybody deserves to break the record and be the 17-time world champion, I think it should be him. And I think a lot of the crowd felt the same way. And, minus the storyline and that he's the bad guy, they were happy for John Cena, the man, to
Mhm.
have been given that honor. Because
Mhm.
I was too. Even though I didn't like the way they did it, I was happy to see that he got it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people there were too.
10 or 12 years ago, if you go back on social media, if you want to scroll that far, but I remember how the John Cena hate was just so prevalent. I mean, it was a big thing. And then there
that's
were
what.
occasionally you'd see people post, you hate him now, but when he retires, you'll be saying he was the greatest of all time. And look what's happened. So, you know, they saw the future, but I mean, the internet's always looking for something to be mad at anyway. So,
That's always been the WWE thing is they love the underdog. They love the underdog. But then as soon as the underdog gets the belt, they turn on them because
yeah.
they're not the underdog anymore. They did that for Roman Reigns. They did it for Daniel Bryan. I mean, they didn't turn on him, but I mean, he lost a lot of his heat once he became the champion because
Mhm.
he wasn't the scrappy underneath guy. That's something Tommy Dreamer understood. He was like, I don't ever want to win. It's, that's my thing. is in the end, I always keep getting beat.
Yeah.
It's like, when Raven went to WCW, he wanted to go under to him. They're like, no, we can't do that. He's
Yeah.
leaving. You have to win. It's like, okay, fine.
Yeah. And that's probably one of the only matches Tommy Dreamer ever won. Because go back and watch some old ECW from the early to mid 90s. He did not win very much. No, but I mean,
That's what made him endearing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what made you a fan of Tommy Dreamer.
He
You're
would
like,
come out-
come on, come on,
He
come
would
on.
come out limping.
Mhm.
He's got that hurt ankle. He comes out limping, and 5 guys are on the other guy's team, and they beat him. But yeah, but the crowd loved him even more for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tommy Dreamer. Yeah, you guys heard that story that he was going to try to take a gun into the Astrodome at WrestleMania and kill Paulie dangerously?
Yeah,
at the
I've
time?
heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard him tell it.
Oh,
So
oh, wow.
it wasn't- yeah. So
I've
yeah,
heard it from Stevie Richards, but I have never heard it from Tommy himself. So,
I'm almost positive that I heard him talking about it.
oh, I'm sure he has. It's well known. I mean, every podcast has brought it up that you ever listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the crowd is part of it, and now I'm like, well, I'm older, I mean, I really don't want to go sit in an arena that long for WrestleMania. You know what I mean? When the last time I went to SmackDown, about 9:30, I started looking at my watch and was like, God, man, I should get this shit over with. And I was ready to go home. And so I missed the train. They had Raw in Greensboro this past Monday night, I believe. So
I didn't even know that. That's terrible. I've been.
Oh, don't worry, they didn't miss you. The place was almost full. they did fine.
It's like I haven't. I'm back in my not watching modern day wrestling phase. We found a bunch of championship wrestling from Florida to watch. We've been watching some of that. We've been watching what did Mid South become? UWF, WCCW. Like, so I've been spending a lot of time with old wrestling again. So
I hope you can find some of those matches from Power Pro Wrestling in the UWF between Dr. Death and Terry Gordy, where Jim Ross is just losing his mind. It sounds like he's having some kind of homosexual fantasy as he's calling the match. He's just like, these two are men, they're giant men, and they're pounding each other. This is real rough, hard hitting stuff. I'm just like,
yeah. Well, Jim Ross has always had a thing for Dr. Death.
Yeah,
you could just tell.
He does. He's so. Jim Ross is so over the top in that commentary. Not just Dr. Death's match, but like I'm like, he is just way too excited. I meant to show you, but yeah, we're still talking about modern wrestling, so I'll stop for a second. But that's my other thing, because work has been killing me here at the last of the year. So I can't watch anything right now where I have to actually focus. And we're always 100 years behind. We started finally watching Dark Side of the Ring. Like I said, we're 100 years behind, but that's usually our thing, is we get late to the party. But
wow, this is talking about old time wrestling. Some popped up on social media, some photos somebody took of when the Crockett Promotions went to Dallas, July 23rd, 1987. It's called the Book Pro Wrestlers page. So it's some good pictures, some fan pictures that were taken there. Boy, that is one pathetic looking cage. Here, I got to share this real quick. Jesus. Well, I mean, I get it. Klondike Bill probably didn't want to haul the good cage all the way from Charlotte to Dallas in the back of a pickup truck. But you should be able to see it shortly. Yeah, look at that thing. It looks like the smoky.
Is that barbed wire?
Yeah, it's a wooden cage with barbed wire.
I think did we watch this recently?
No, Smoky Mountain used to do that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they had one in Smoky Mountain. Let's see what else is here.
Oh,
I don't know who that is, but they got a Coke.
Got a very nice briefcase.
That's Big Bubba. There's Bobby Eaton and Jim Cornette. I guess that's the outside of the building. Oh, Dr. Death. Speaking of the devil. And that looks like the Midnight. Yeah, it's the Midnight and Cornette against Tim Horner and Brad Armstrong.
Cool. probably a wonderful match, but so that they should call that the no personality tag team. Oh my God.
They said Brad Armstrong was hilarious behind the scenes. It's
Which
just,
is crazy because his promos are like you watch them and you're like, oh my God, they're terrible.
yeah.
Oh, poor thing.
But
But I just
yeah,
sent
that
you
was
a picture of a stand up I found at an antique store yesterday.
the
So you,
Dusty Rhodes thing.
yes,
Yeah.
God, somebody's gonna go buy it because I advertised it. I won't say exactly where it's at, but if anybody wants to send Venmo me some $75, I send it on, and I'm gonna go buy that.
Yeah, that is an old Sundrop ad from
Mellow yellow,
1988. Oh, it's Mellow
mellow,
Yellow.
yellow, mellow yellow.
Okay. So yeah, there it is. And they
Look at
want
that.
$75 for that?
Yes, but it's
Yes.
in such good condition. But I don't know. I told Brian if it had been 50, I'd have been carrying that downtown Asheboro home with me.
What did you say? It's about 6 foot tall?
Yeah, yeah, it's just a little bit smaller than life size. When I saw it, I went, "Holy shit!" And all these people looked at me like I was crazy, and I ran over to look to see how much it was.
Yeah, and you could see he's holding all they were collector cans. You could get, the different cans that summer. That he that Sun I mean Meliella made. It was different wrestlers to see. It was like Flair, Dusty, Barry Windham, Jimmy Garvin, the Road Warriors, looks like maybe the Russians. I don't know. I can't remember all of them. I remember they did something else that year too, uh, with Crown and Fast Fare gas stations where they had the collectible plastic cups. If you
Oh,
went in
yeah.
and got a fountain drink.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
miss those days. I miss the days of commemorative cups and glasses. Like that's something that went away. Remember growing up, you would get the all those glasses from like Burger King and McDonald's and things like that. I miss the days of like actual fun stuff at restaurants like that. But
Well, I think that overall promoting used to be a little easier, at least for me, to follow back then because you promoted radio, TV, newspaper. It was easy, right? Those were the three options you had. Now you have the internet, and it's become increasingly frustrating over the last 10 years, at least regarding NASCAR. The only place you can find out about these driver appearances and stuff when they come to town is you have to either fish through all their social media or go on the driver's personal website or the team's website. You have to seek it out, right? They don't just put it in plain view too much. Now, if they appear at a Walmart around here, they flood social media so you cannot miss it. But it's just like, if you want to go meet Denny Hamlin, get his autograph, not that anybody would, it's kind of difficult to know where they're going to be, right?
what is the
And
what is
wrestling's
that?
the same way. You only see the posters on the internet now, save for one promotion, because I have been spending a lot of time in Virginia. PPW, Jimmy Love's promotion, they paper Martinsville and Bassett like it is like as good as we did back in the 90s or better. It is absolutely fantastic. Every convenience store you go into, just about every restaurant. I mean, if you live in Martinsville and you didn't know they had a wrestling show at the Horse Pasture Fire Department on Saturday, that's on you, Jack, because you just weren't paying attention.
You
Yeah.
mentioned Denny Hamlin, and this memory popped in my head. It's like Denny Hamlin, but I don't know what it's from. Oh my God! Well, you wouldn't know because you didn't follow NASCAR. But I just remember something, and the people going Denny Hamlin,
Well, he's
and
been
that's
around
just
a long time, so he's
I
been
don't know if
around.
anybody knows what I'm talking about. Let me know because now it's just in my head over and over again. But uh,
Here, here's something that'll make everybody listening feel old. His rookie year was '06. Yeah.
that's longer than my children have been alive.
Yeah. So, but anyways, so back to wrestling. So WWE rolls on. I have no, everybody was saying because of all the big crowds last year, boy, 2025 is going to be the big year for WWE. But I've seen the crowds dip a little bit, especially since WrestleMania. And they're not hurting by any stretch of the imagination, but those days where you were seeing people behind the entrance, and them having to lower the curtain and put people behind the entrance, they seem to have gone away. Now they're still wrapping people around both sides of the building. They're just not getting that extra 4 or 5 thousand maybe they were a few months ago, which is nothing wrong with that. The weather's warming up. People are got more better, especially up north, are trying to get outside and enjoy the nice weather while they got it. I mean, if you live in the north of the Midwest, I mean, it can still snow. If you live, yeah, especially if you live up in like northern Ohio or Michigan or Wisconsin, I mean, you can still get snow in May. So, yeah, I think that the crowd sizes are going to continue to dip, and everything's cyclical. You can't get it white hot and keep it white hot forever. It's going to cool off.
No, I mean, and that's the way wrestling's always been. Wrestling's gone from like being this big, huge cultural phenomenon that all these people are interested in to then not nobody knowing anything about it. And then again in a few years, it's like that's the way I think that's the way it is with like the big wrestling organizations, indies, everything. It's like this always.
Mhm.
So
And you got to keep looking for your next star, man. You can't sleep on that, especially indies. You got to keep looking for your next star, you know.
Mhm.
So let's see. The Backlash PLE, I wish you guys would have watched it. I thought it was better. Actually, I enjoyed it more than WrestleMania. And that's saying something, because that's very rare that happens. But
yeah, we were in Ivanhoe that
oh,
day.
okay.
We
Okay.
had the show, you know, um, so I just kind of went, you know, I mostly just heard about it through listening to the wrestling people on the end, like the podcast. I did it Cornette, so
Yeah.
I just
That
have
it.
heard
Yeah,
about it
that's it.
through him. So, and
Yeah.
he doesn't like anything. Sometimes I have to quit listening to him
Yeah.
because he's so off base.
Well, you got to listen to the tone in his voice, because sometimes he's just jerking chains. And if the longer you listen to him, you'll pick up on that, and you'll be able to figure out when he's just screwing around,
He's
you
just trying
know.
to get people mad.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
the
that's
only
his
one,
gimmick, He's supposed to
yeah,
come
that's
on there and
true.
get you mad.
The only one that I watched purposely was the Gunther and Pat McAfee,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
which went on a little too long.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's very hard to put like somebody who's really, really good against like an announcer because you want to be able to give everybody wants to see that underdog get a few spots in, but you also don't want to make your big heel look weak.
Mm-hmm.
And that match was a little like if it had gone 10 minutes, I
Yeah.
think it would have been better than 15, but
I think you could get away with it just because he's an ex NFL player and he's still in great shape.
kicker.
Huh?
Yeah, he was a kicker. He wasn't
No,
like
he
a take.
wasn't. He was a
I thought,
punter. He was a
oh,
punter. So
okay, was
even less action.
even
But
less okay. Okay, so he's not, he's not somebody who takes the big hits.
no, but
So
he's still an athlete, though. I mean,
I
you saw
so
he had a
I
pretty good
agree.
cut. He sure didn't have no dad bod on him, and he is a dad.
Yeah, I
When you
didn't even okay, this is my thing with Pat McAfee. I thought he was older. I thought he was like 40, but he's not. He's young.
yeah, he retired young. Yeah,
That's
everybody's
like
always said he was so smart because, like, he got his bell rung a couple of times in the NFL, and he's just like, nope, I'm not going to be an invalid when I get older. I want to have a family. I want to be a dad. He had been smart with his money, and he retired early and then started this media empire. So, you know,
he's less annoying to me now.
yeah,
Like
you get
um
used to him.
but that was really the only one. Like I said, we were in Ivanhoe. And again, I'm just going on not only what like people on podcasts said and stuff, but like just the world of marks on the internet, which end up pissing me off half the time anyway. So
Yeah, I listen to this. I'm pretty limited these days to what podcasts I listen to because most people's opinion on wrestling, besides mine, I don't care about. I mean, I care about what you guys think, but like I listen to Cornette for perspective and Dutch Mantel because they're the only two that I can trust to be pretty much honest all the way through. Now Jim Cornette likes to bullshit a lot, but Dutch Mantel, he, I mean, why did he had a great successful career. I mean, he's not a wealthy man by any stretch of the imagination, but you know,
Um,
he doesn't
Stevie
lie.
Richards. Stevie Richards' podcast is pretty good too.
Yes, I've heard that. I try to squeeze that in when I've got
I
time.
squeeze clips. Well, I don't listen to anything. I listen only to clips. I can't do a whole three
Yeah.
hours of stuff, but I watch YouTube and stuff. But Stevie
Mhm.
Richards has been fun to watch too because um I like to hear because he seems to have more of a little bit more of a positive spin on things.
Mhm.
I don't know if positive is the right word, but it's just interesting because he's so different than some of the other wrestling podcast guys. So, but
Have you guys seen that video floating around of the two wrestlers? One of them puts a tie, like duct tapes a tie to a guy that's covered in firecrackers and lights them. Have you seen that one yet?
No.
I
no.
saw it today right before we went on the air.
Oh my God, you'll have to send that or show it or something.
I'll try to find
Yeah,
it.
because the last one I sent you was the guy that is now all the indies are doing that spot from top of a building into a table, but this one was different because it was a table and there was fire in the table and it was on the back of a truck.
Yeah, didn't they go through glass or something too?
That was maybe
Yeah, I think there was glass
because there
too.
was another spot where the guy jumped, like the guy that got I don't know, I don't remember what the movie. And then he looks up like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm still alive." So,
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to interrupt this WWE talk with a couple of idiots. Uh,
that's my favorite part. Somebody was sending me.
so
Um,
there's fire, there's tables, there's light bulbs. They're on the top of a building, and a guy just, it doesn't even
ugh,
look like he's trying to do a move. He just jumps straight down.
Right. Yeah.
And of course, the referee down there, with everybody's safety and, in mind, has two small bottles of water in
ugh.
case something goes wrong with the fire. Watch. See, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me put out this fire with, you know,
Let
combined
me try this
24
about
ounces.
one. Like, not as bad as that one where the person just threw the closed water bottle at the guy who was on fire.
Oh,
Like it's not like we didn't set people on fire. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend like we did it.
well,
Um,
Brian probably has the record for setting the most people on fire in the AIWF history. That's say if you don't, Brian, you're in contention for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, probably so. But yeah, and I've been set on fire a couple of times too, and but it was always pretty much under control for the most part.
I think it's like with these things, you don't. This is going to sound insane when I say it. Like, there's a safe way to do it and a safe thing to use because lighter fluid burns off like that. But like, it's like people look like they're using uh, like just so much or just something that just doesn't burn out quick and stuff. So
Mhm. But my thing, it looks like the same group because it looks like the same building to me. Maybe it's not,
is that
but I'm just like, how many times are they going to do this? It's kind of, it's like, I
Well, I
mean,
mean,
it just kind of gets old after a while. It's like, oh, here we go again. He's got the guy on the building.
yeah.
I wonder what's
Well,
going to happen next.
everybody, well, they got a positive reaction from the 30 or 40 people that were there. So now everybody up and down the card wants to do something similar. So
Hmm.
yeah, can we work the fire table, light bulb, glass spot, broken car battery spot into our next match? It's just like,
it's like I'm getting so sick and tired of seeing all these clips with light bulbs. Like, I don't know. They just everybody uses like it's the lazy way to do hardcore, in my opinion. But you know, my what is opinions like assholes? Everybody's got one.
yeah,
So
exactly. Oh,
I showed
mercy.
that to my children, and they looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You've never heard that?" And they're like, "No."
Yeah, because normal people that don't watch wrestling go, well, here's my fear. It's like you can sit somebody down and watch WWE with them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty cool." Or you take them to WWE the first time they've never seen it. Oh, that's pretty cool, man. And then they're fishing around on the internet one day and see something like that. And they're embarrassed that they liked wrestling and they don't want to watch it anymore. You know,
Or
I must be an idiot to like this. Look at these idiots, jumping through glass and stuff.
makes indies look bad. Like if you are somebody, they're like, hey, there's an indie show running in my hometown. Well, crap. I've seen a bunch of clips of people doing dumb shit like that. I don't really want to go see that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to go see anybody get mutilated. But Robbie Stanley was telling me that he rented his ring to a hardcore group out of the Midwest at Wentworth several years ago. And he said they put like over 200 people, sold every ticket they put up for sale, and people came from all over the country to see that deathmatch tournament. He said it was some of the most gruesome shit he'd ever seen, and he sure as hell wouldn't book it or be associated with it. But I mean, yeah, but their money was good enough for you, Robbie. I mean, but you get what I'm saying. He's like, I'll wrench in a ring, but I'm not, hands off. That's all I'm gonna do is wrench in a ring. And he said that the people turned up in droves for it. So I don't know. I wasn't there and didn't see it. So there's an audience for that shit. It's just not a very big one.
There is. There's a small audience that will come from a long way to see it, but you're not going to be able to expand from that audience who likes that particular thing.
Yeah. And I wonder how many, guys have met girls and vice versa while they were wearing I'm into self-mutilation t-shirt, I don't know.
I did like Brian though. That's one thing made me like Brian. Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, you guys are still married.
Like I said, there's just a level where it gets like that's just too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, there's different levels. Some people's, my level was too much for them.
Oh yeah. I remember the complaints. Yeah. I remember getting yelled at because you licked your own, you wiped your forehead and licked the blood off your own blood, not somebody else's, off your hand at Bassett Community Center. Some lady was screaming at me, and I just looked at her and I was with, say something to him. What do you want me to do about it? I'm sitting behind a microphone. Go over there and complain to him, because I knew she wouldn't. Because you were covered, you were drenched in blood, looking pretty scary at the time, and she wasn't going to go over there.
I know. It's like, I just feel like, because I mean, sometimes when we talk about it, people can be like, well, they're being hypocrites, but like, I just don't feel like jumping off the top of a building like that is a good idea. But I mean, it even goes back. New Jack did spots that were similar that were just as stupid, and so it's been something that has happened a long time. And some of the Japanese death matches from the early 2000s were insane too, and things that I think my main thing is the light bulbs, especially if you watch the Nick Gage Dark Side of the Ring. You see why that shit is a bad idea.
Because he literally said, he's like, yeah, those pussies at ECW saying that what we were doing, somebody was going to die. And then they showed a clip and they were like, yeah, he died. He was dead for 12 minutes and they brought him. It's like, well, they were right. You died. Like, you can't say, oh yeah, they said somebody's gonna die. Like, well, they were right. Like it or not.
Oh, I think I've got something here that might be fun to look at if you want to see an indie wrestler get hurt. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's gonna be bad. Hang on. I think this guy might have died. No, he's still moving.
He's moving.
All right, wait till let's see. Let me show you what he did.
Okay.
Let's get the people that put this video up a little plug here. JTA Wrestling, click.
What the? Oh my God!
It's not a good idea.
Oh. Well, how did he think he would even be? You would not be able to get that guy that was like, he's not like you. Just the way physics works,
right?
The physics of that you're not gonna be able to hit him.
I don't know, Reagan. Something tells me this guy didn't get good grades in physics. I mean,
He's definitely not going to now.
No. Oh, I wonder if it's got some volume to it. Oh yeah, we can hear sound.
I didn't hear the sound, but
Didn't hear. I might have to make an adjustment on the share here. Hang on just a second. It's a pretty sickening thud. It's delayed, but all right, let's see here. Application share. Where's the share sound? Optimized for video sharing. All right, let's try this one more again. I want you to hear this thud. The sound's a little delayed, but just wait for it. All right, here we go. That sound,
even the crowd's like, ugh.
the sound, it sounded like a bump in the ring, but you knew it was on the wood. It's just that, yeah. Well,
He had hit the guy. Like it would have just hurt both of them.
yeah.
Like that just, it's just some of the things you see. It's just, what were they thinking? They weren't.
No, they weren't.
At all.
Ugh, that sound. That was a lot. People are just, yeah. Just don't think things through.
No.
Just because you think something's a good idea, you probably need to run it by a few people, see what they say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there was years ago, there was, I'm not going to mention any names, but an old guy giving the younger guys advice, telling them not to come off the top rope and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy telling them? I mean, that's like,
don't come off the top rope.
Right. Yeah. Just like regular moves. He's like, I'll take a leg drop from Bobby Eaton all day. But, but like, Bobby Eaton had to learn how to come off the top rope too.
Yeah.
He didn't start out as a master from the top rope. He had to learn too, just like the young guys do. But yeah, like that is just that's a lot different than doing a leg drop from the top rope. That's a whole lot. Again, like I said, like with the hardcore stuff, there's a leg drop off the top rope, and then there's that. That's you might call them both high flying. You might call two things hardcore, but then they're at two different levels.
I found one more bone cruncher I want to share with y'all. It's rough though. I think we might have seen this one before, Brian. You'll have to you have to let me know. But let's see here. Watch this.
What is this? Charade getting on the top floor in the high rent district. Here he goes, crossing himself.
Move them legs. Make sure.
Yeah, they got quiet, didn't they?
Yeah, I would have too.
Yeah, that was
They
bad.
kick them legs. Make sure they can still move.
Oh,
Ugh.
Oh,
Ugh.
don't do shit you don't know how to do, said Dusty Rhodes to Big Bubba.
yeah. Yes, cover that man.
He tried to
kick out.
No, he didn't. He tried.
He just flopped out.
Okay.
He just flopped because he's like, he might have.
Oh, wait, he did.
No, he did kick out.
Look,
It's like, no, man.
That ain't the way we're supposed to finish up.
If I'd been that ref, I'd have been like 3.
Yeah,
I don't care if your shoulder went up or not.
I was gonna say he might have kicked out because he's having involuntary nerve movement from a broken neck. Sure.
That's like Gimli and Legolas. That one's still moving. He's moving because he got my axe in his nervous system, or something like that. I can't remember what he said.
Yeah.
Oh, mercy. So yeah, we're caught up. So what's been going on in the Mid Atlantic lately? I see that Matt Anderson has gone back to his evil ways from many years ago.
Gosh, yes, Matt Anderson is a different person now. He is not only disrespectful to to other wrestlers, but to venues also.
Mhm.
He got into, made the firefighters in Ivanhoe a little mad at him. So he just does not care what other people think anymore. So it's
What in the world did he do to make the firefighters mad?
spit in the floor.
Oh, he spit in the floor. Oh well, I mean, I could see why. They wouldn't. Was it chewing tobacco spit or just regular spit?
That's just regular spit. Just regular
Maybe
spit.
if it had chewing tobacco, they would have been okay with it.
No, it's
Well,
just,
it'd been easier.
just plain old spit. Plain old spit.
If it's chewing tobacco spit, it's got a color to it, so it's easier to find to get it up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I probably shouldn't have told that story, but whatever.
That's fine. No,
I don't care.
It's not gonna hurt
But
anything.
no, on serious note, he is like, if you haven't been around, because if you've only been around the past couple of years, you've seen a very positive Matt Anderson, and you may not know his run with Sebastian Kane, but he, from what I hear, he's even more diabolical than he was with Sebastian Kane. So, he's coming back. We have our show on next Saturday. And just kind of see this new Matt Anderson. So,
Well,
and he's on a collision course with Ty Tyson. The last time we were at Mount Airy Spring Jam, he's stole Ty Tyson's hammer.
oh no.
Yeah. I tried to prevent that, and he laid me out in the process. So yeah, he was determined to get it. So. It was just one of those reactionary things that the hammer was sitting right in front of me, and when I saw him go for it, I was like, no, and I grabbed it, and we were tug of warring with it, and he sucker punched me and laid me out. So,
well, yeah, that's what happens when you interfere with a wrestler. I mean,
yeah.
that's
why I normally stay behind the desk, behind the table, but sometimes it's just that reaction hits.
that instinct, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
well, sometimes you can't fight it, but
Yeah.
Well, we hoping Rick Diesel can join us. I don't know if we'll be going to try, I guess, and be back in a couple of weeks. But what else have you guys got on your mind that we need to go over?
I don't think we talked about the Javon Evans Ricochet
Ah, yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Twitter beef or whatever you call it now.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
So that was what was interesting about that is it was just some random person that made a tweet or whatever they call them now. I'm always going to call them tweets. That's what it's going to be. About how Javon Evans was really good or one of the best out there. And I don't remember the exact verbiage of it, but then Ricochet just, commented on it, and Ricochet is really working this heel angle, but he ended up looking pretty like little catty. So I don't think I just told you about it. You didn't hear or see it, but yeah, Javon Evans, very young, making maybe a mistake of calling Tony Khan a crackhead, but
yeah, Reddit grabbed a couple of screenshots of it. It's not really. Somebody put something out there about how good Javon Evans was, and Ricochet replied, "I'd squash him." And then Javon Evans replied, "My bad. I just got done training at the Performance Center under Shawn Michaels. Something that you don't have or do, but I bet your brown egghead ass would squash me if Tony told you to. Much love, OG." And then it went on from there. Ricochet says, "Brother, I was learning from Shawn Michaels when you was like 12. Then went on to become multiple-time champion. Let me know when you win one, little boy. And yeah, if Tony asked me, I'd definitely beat your ass." That's what it says. He was just saying, "I beat your ass." You learned from HBK. Then Javon Evans said back, "You learned from HBK when I was 12 and became a multiple-time champion. Now you're wrestling in front of 2,000 people every week for a crackhead. Talk about an upgrade, am I right?" That's pretty good.
Oh my God.
Yeah, if you've never met this guy, and we've met him because he's worked on a couple of our shows, he, although very polite, and very friendly. He is quick-witted, man. And then Javon Evans, one last one. Sounds like Mr. Khan isn't giving you enough attention, so you had to come for a successful ass youngin'. You're giving me the most views on my post, and I'm finally helping you get the most attention you've ever had in your career. All love. And that's what I think WWE social media got intervened and got him to take those posts down, and probably got everybody at the Performance Center into a social media, how to handle social media class.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, he just turned 21, right? So
Yeah.
he's still young. And I'm sure it's hard to go from being witty and being able to make comments to people to not being allowed to. Like I'm sure that's a learning process in today's social media heavy world. Like
But
you
I've never
have to
seen anybody go after him before on social media. So that was kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
That
I mean, like
Ricochet just-
in general though, yeah. Now though, everybody's posting something throughout their lives, and I'm sure that's now something along with learning how to wrestle and wrestle WWE style. I'm sure you have to learn what you can and can't say on the internet. So,
yeah.
but
I wouldn't
I
even
thought it
want
was
to fool
funny.
with it. I wouldn't even want to fool with it. I'd just be like, let somebody on the social media team fool with it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
that's always it's always tempting to respond back, but when you do that, you're pretty much just giving the person what they want.
Yeah,
They're doing it. They want to get a reaction.
exactly.
And when you don't give it to them,
Ooh.
you're winning by ignoring them.
Do you know
But
what?
it is
Oh,
hard
sorry.
to do.
I would say though, Javon Evans versus Ricochet would be one hell of a match.
Mhm.
Like that match would be fantastic. So too bad there's no forbidden doors between the two of them, but
Yeah.
um,
Well, WWE has
Ricochet will
picked
probably be
up.
back in WWE in a few years.
you never know. Or unfortunately, Javon Evans might end up in AEW. You never know anymore.
No.
So
Yeah, and it kind of looks like AEW's, according to their television ratings, their audience is kind of settled at around 500,000 to 550,000. So it looks like they finally got a cork in the dike. They've got their audience, and so hopefully that's settled down for them. They seem to be averaging about 2 to 2,500 every week now. So I think they found their set of buildings.
yeah,
And
yeah, and it looks really good, where they're at and stuff like I think it's good that they've dropped down to these smaller venues. I think it makes them look better,
yeah, I mean, a full building is always better, and if it's
Yeah.
tight full building, at least those people, that's your diehards. They really want to be there. So
Right.
And you can make yourself like a niche type of wrestling, and be very successful with that. So
hey, evidently they're getting the numbers that TBS wants them to get. So if that's the case, I mean, who is anybody to be critical of it? If TBS is happy, they just renewed their contract. They must be doing what the purpose is. And
Mhm.
so, and I know that if you watch TBS, even if you're not watching if you're not watching AEW, if you're just watching Big Bang Theory or something like that, you see AEW ads every commercial break, either for Dynamite or Collision. Every time. It's, heavily in their advertising. So, if you're watching baseball, believe it or not, baseball is back on TBS, not all the time, but when it's there, you see ads for AEW Dynamite. So it'll be interesting too when NASCAR moves over to TNT later this summer. Will there be a lot of ads for that on NASCAR? I feel like it will be because when WWE was on Fox, man, you couldn't go. Well, it was like every other ad break you'd see a NASCAR ad. So, and I've been trying to tell wrestling promoters that hate auto racing for years. Me and Stephen Hayes have always said it's the same audience. It's the same people. You shouldn't be
well,
mad.
WCW had a car,
Yeah.
so maybe they'll get an AEW and maybe not a car, but maybe a section on a car. So who knows? But
I can tell you that Billy Standridge drove that car in 1995. And the reason I remember that is because the 1995 spring race at Darlington is one of the most chaotic events that has ever been perpetrated in all of racing. And he was a big part of one of those huge crashes. And I just remember that WCW car being the first to spin and causing like millions of dollars worth of damage in one corner. He had help, but still.
kind of like it's like the finger poke of doom, but in NASCAR. So,
Yeah. But
uh,
that happens a lot more these days. I'm telling you what, NASCAR's a lot rougher than it used to be now. They'll wreck you quick as look at you these days. So it's actually a lot more exciting than when I was a kid. So I kind of low key have to act like I'm offended as a race fan. Like you shouldn't drive that way. That's that's not very sporting. But you know, secretly on the inside, I'm like, yes, this is awesome. You know, God,
the
they
thing
really
is, like
hate
when
each
I
other.
was because when I was watching when I was younger was during the heyday of like Earnhardt and Jeff
Mhm.
Gordon,
Yeah,
and they were pretty rough. I mean, and
yeah,
stuff. But yeah, you wanted to watch the wrecks, just like when you go to hockey, you wanted to watch the fights.
yeah.
Like that's the side part of it that's very enjoyable too. So.
Well, and I'm not this kind of race fan who all I want to see is the wrecks. Do I want to see a couple of crashes? Yes, always. That's part of it. You know, that's part of the thrill of racing at high speed. But I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But I'm telling you, if I go to a race and it's just caution after caution after caution after caution, man, I'll get up and go get a hot dog, or I get ticked off because part of the reason, especially when the race is here in Charlotte, you get to see cars that are similar to the same size as the car you drive on the street go past you at 200 miles an hour. That is freaking awesome. Whoosh, you know, and that's part of the fun. So yeah, sprinkle a little bit of wrecks in there, but I don't want it to be a demolition derby. I go to the fair for that in Winston-Salem. They have one every year, you know. So anyway, we're way off wrestling now. So
But it's the
once it,
same people. You just said same people.
same
So
audience, yeah. So they're probably entertained by this. And I know there's probably somebody out there going, Matt Carter, you're full of shit. Racing back in the 90s is way better than it is now. No.
I don't
Mm-mm,
watch enough of it to know.
no.
We did do our annual field trip to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and
Uh,
the person in the van I was in this year got up to 100.
oh,
In
you're
one of
so
the
lucky on a weekday
vans.
too.
Huh?
On a weekday too, because that's
Yeah,
like,
and there was a woman driving that big ass van going 100 miles an hour
oh
and like
wow.
swerving, like taking those road course turns.
Yeah.
Have like it going at like 80 and you feel it was crazy. It's one of
Wow.
the best ones I've had so far. I highly recommend if you're able to do that. It is fun as hell. So
Yeah, all you gotta do is squeeze in the van and get the seatbelt on, buddy, and you're good to go. They'll take care of the rest. It's a lot of fun. Did y'all get to go see the radio studios and the Speedway Club and all that stuff, or did they just take you around the outside?
we do a STEM activity at the dragway, and
Uh,
we're in the fancy seat, the suites doing
mhm.
that, and then we go and we go to the garage, we watch a video about it. What else do we do? We get to go to circle and take a winter circle and take a picture, and then do that. But because it's like, you know, a lot of stuff, but I would like to see that personally. Like that would be fun to see.
Yeah, you ought to come down on to the 600 one year. It's like half rock concert, half NASCAR race. It's incredible. Charlotte Motor Speedway knows how to put on a race better than any other speedway on the tour, and I haven't even been to them all, but I've heard people talk about it. And my nephew, especially, he's from Arizona. When he came to the 600, he was like, "God, what a spectacle!" And I was like, "Man, they know how to put on a show around here." Anyway, all right, let's get out of here. Speaking of NASCAR, the All Star race is about to start, so I wanna go watch that. From North Wilkesboro, so that'll be fun. Y'all got any comments or anything before we get out of here?
No,
No.
no, just come on out to the May 24th. It's gonna be exciting. So
Yep.
just come on out.
Next Saturday night at the park, and T's Treats, I'm sure will be there, and best concessions in wrestling. So come hungry, come ready to
Oh
eat.
yeah.
Because, yeah, it'll be a romping, stomping good time for the whole family. So even though we don't advertise it as family entertainment, it's safe to bring the kids. They're, you're not going to see anything too outlandish.
No,
Right.
no, we do. Yeah, we are smarter than some people, some places, but
Yeah,
come on
it's
out.
edge. It's a little edgy, but at times, but that's it. It's nothing your kids hadn't heard in school by now anyway, if they're 7. So anyway, all right, we're gonna get out of here. For Brian and Reagan Danzig, I am Mad Matt Carter. We'll see you probably 2 weeks from now, and until then, so long for now.